for joining the Phrasee webinar. My name is Daniela, and over the course of this webinar, I'll take you through who we are, what we do, and why we do it. I'm sure you'll have questions by the end of the presentation, so we'll set some time aside for the Q&A then. But right now, let me introduce you to Phrasee. So Phrasee is highly sophisticated AI software that produces and optimizes completely tailored and brand compliant short form marketing copy. Our mission is to empower all brands with AI powered copywriting and help them maximize their engagement metrics and conversions from all of their marketing channels. Now, in fact, if you've interacted with any of these brands, then you will have already experienced Phrasee without even knowing it. This is just a snippet of the clients we work with, and it highlights the many different sectors, brand tones, and business needs that we are able to work with. For example, eBay's language is completely different to Hilton's, or Domino's language is completely different to vouchers. And if we have anyone from the US, voucher is actually living social in the United States. So Phrasee looks to solve many different challenges faced by marketers in their day-to-day. Things like gaining eye share in overcrowded inboxes, because there are so many companies vying for attention that it can be really difficult to stand out. Then we also increase open rates or combat declining open rates, ensuring all language is brand and industry compliant across all messaging. But most importantly, Phrasee is about the opportunity potential, and we found that our clients see, on average, a 10% increase in open rates. There are 4 unique and important aspects of Phrasee that help us tackle those challenges. First up is that Phrasee uses 2 forms of cutting-edge artificial intelligence. Now, I know artificial intelligence is a bit of a buzzword, but I will explain a bit more about the actual AI we employ on the next slide. Secondly, we build every brand their own tailored language model. These are essentially the guidelines or rules which tell Phrasee how to speak in the right tone of voice. Thirdly, it's designed as a low-touch, high-impact platform. So we use a simple SaaS-based user interface that is low touch in terms of human interactions, but then high impact in terms of the output you get. And finally, this all helps us to generate the best possible results campaign by campaign. And I will share some of those awesome results in a minute. Now, let's look at the Phrasee brain and how it actually works. I mentioned that the Phrasee brain is made up of 2 forms of AI. These are natural language generation, or NLG for short, and deep learning. NLG is a form of AI that knows how to produce language that is completely indistinguishable from that of a human. As each brand has their own language model, Phrasee's NLG will produce millions of brand-compliant copy variants from scratch for any one of their given campaigns at the touch of a button. So this cuts out creative fatigue and offers far greater language diversity. The second part of the brain is the application of deep learning through neural networks. This allows Phrasee to actually start learning how your audience responds to language, which then gives it the ability to predict which of the millions of variants will be the most effective for a campaign. It is an end-to-end model, which means that the more you use it, the more intelligent it gets, which allows for long-term and consistent optimization. Now, what I would like to point out here is that Phrasee does not use a database of pre-built copy, so all the copy is fresh and unique to you, your brand, and your campaign. Now, I did mention some of the awesome results, and here they are. So Phrasee directly impacts your open rates, and this increases the number of engaged people right from the beginning, which in turn means more clicks and revenue as well. So if we look at Domino's, who rely heavily on online push and social channels to drive engagement through digital marketing, you can see that Phrasee helped them achieve significant uplifts in opens and clicks, and also sell a lot more pizza along the way. Then another example is Superdry, who, in case anyone is not familiar with the brand, they are a fashion retail brand who started using Phrasee in 2018, and they have since expanded across multiple number of territories and have seen absolutely phenomenal results. Then we have the Virgin Group. Now we work with a few brands under the Virgin Group, and these numbers relate specifically to Virgin Holidays. So the scale of impact varies from brand to brand, but you can see how a 12% uplift in opens has resulted in millions of dollars of incremental revenue for Virgin Holidays. And now you know how the Phrasee brain works, and you've seen the results it generates. What I will do now is I will show you in real time how our AI creates the language. So let's go to the platform and show you that. So welcome to the Phrasee platform. This is a standalone SaaS-based tool, and we do not touch any customer data or personal data. We're also completely ESP agnostic. So users would simply come in and log into their account and go through a 4-stage process to generate language for a campaign. So steps 1 and 2 are about refining the campaign details or briefing Phrasee on the campaigns that we're setting up. And then in steps 3 and 4, Phrasee has generated language for us to approve and test. So here you can enter your campaign name, email list information, and enter the human control subject line, which will be used for benchmarking purposes only. So this subject line does not impact any of the languages Phrasee will generate. Now, when you're happy with that, you click Go Forth. And this is where Phrasee works out the size of splits that are needed to generate a statistically significant results. So this is key when setting up tests with artificial intelligence. And we would always recommend to test on as many variants as your ESP allows you. Sometimes might not be 10, but as many as you can do, we would definitely suggest that. So I'll go with 10 here and continue. So in this step, this is where you give Phrasee a bit more context around the campaign that's being set up. So imagine here Phrasee being your copywriter who hasn't seen the creative copy yet, and this is where you brief it in. So what's important to point out here is that this user interface and everything you see here is built specifically for each client to ensure the necessary detail is captured for each campaign. So this will change brand to brand, depending on their campaign types, product lines, kind of offers or promotions they might be running. So this entire user interface is completely customizable. I'll just wrap this up, and then once you're happy with it, you just click the magic button. And this is where Phrasee produces trillions of diverse language variants from scratch without relying on any pre-built database of words. And voila, you got the 9 subject lines that Phrasee's machine learning model predicts will perform most effectively on your audience. As you can see, the human line is untouched and does not have any impact on the AI written lines. So in real time, Phrasee has come back with a set of language for us to test with. So if you look here, you can see that Phrasee is testing lots of different variables such as emoji usage, length, and the structure of the subject lines. So there's a real difference in terms of what we are testing here, because that is the important thing when it comes to AI optimization. We need to be testing across multiple variants because no one thing is ever going to be the answer. And what works today might not work in a week or a couple of weeks or 6 months. So if we only test with what we know works, then we won't learn anything new. So here you can always provide feedback. on any language that is not right for either the brand or the campaign. So we encourage for the changes to be made only when absolutely necessary, because if we inject too much human bias into the process, we will skew the results. So once you're happy with this, you simply click accept and continue, and we move forward. Sorry, the internet seems to be a bit slow, but hopefully you can see the next slide shortly. So what we will see soon is are some of the things that Phrasee is testing with in terms of sentiment and freshness, and here they are. So when Phrasee has done a lot more campaigns and has more data, we will have a more in-depth report here. But for now, just run through these. And then what you can do is export these subject lines and go and test them in your email platform. Depending on the ESP that you use, you can either export the subject lines to set up your splits via CSV, or by simply copy and pasting the subject lines into your ESP. This whole process won't take more than a couple of minutes, and or you would have an API feed running this for you. So you would then run the split test, and all you need to do after that is input the results back into Phrasee. So again, depending on your ESP, these results can be added automatically, or you would copy and paste them into the platform, which takes maybe another minute, and that is it. So that's all for the Phrasee platform. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I have explained